the supply side. Okay, so let us see what is supply. Okay, so similar to the demand function and the demand curve, we have over here the supply function and the supply curve. So let us see what is supply. Supply is defined as the willingness. Okay, so willingness of the supplier to supply the commodity or the good. Also note that it's not only willingness, it should also be the ability, right? Lots of manufacturers have willingness to supply lots of goods, but they do not have the capability to sell, okay, or the ability to supply, right? So supply is defined as well as willingness and ability both to sell or supply the goods and services, right? Now what we are saying is producers will supply or sell their product only if they are able to meet the cost of producing an additional unit of product. So let's say suppose you want to supply 5 units, okay, and the cost of this 5 unit is, let's say suppose $30, okay, right? And if somebody is giving you this, for this 5 unit somebody is giving you $35, okay, so yes, you would be willing to supply because the cost per produce this good is 30 and you are getting 35. But if the cost of this is 30 and somebody is paying you $29, okay, right, so then in that case you are not going to sell it because you are not able to recover the cost, right? So we have talked about this 5 unit, but let's see the marginal concept. In marginal concept, what we are saying is the cost to produce additional unit. So the cost that you require to produce the additional unit, let's say the 6th unit, okay, the 6th unit is costing you $7, okay, and for 6th unit the cost is $7, okay, and you are getting $8. Okay, so the revenue that you get for producing this is 8, so you will happily supply. But if the cost becomes $9, okay, you will not supply at $8. So that is what they are saying is they are able to meet the cost, then they will supply. So what supply will depend on is what is the price that I am getting, and it will depend on what is the cost it will to produce the additional unit, right? So what we are saying is if you have more difference between the price and cost, okay, so where we are saying that price is more than the cost, supplier is more willing to supply the goods, right? So let's say suppose your cost is $6 and you are getting $8, okay, you will be more willing to supply versus when your cost is 7 and your revenue is 8, right? Now production, we are talking about the production. We are saying production is a transformation of the factors of production. Please note that we have seen the factors of production: land, labor and capital, okay, and also the raw materials, okay. Now the combination of all of this or transforming of this raw material using the labor, equipments, etc., the producer is able to give you finished goods and services, right? So what we say is the supplier, they will purchase these factors in the market, okay, so he has to go in the market and get this additional commodities, okay. Also he will go in the market to purchase the labor, okay, or hire the labor, right? So his cost will depend on the prices that he is able to get these products in the market. So the cost will depend on the prices of these factors in the market, okay. The more the price, the more he will ask the money from you, okay. Now let us see over here the supply function, okay, where it all depends on. We have taken a very simple assumption that there is only one unit and that unit is the labor, okay. Only one unit we have, one input cost, and that is the labor. We are ignoring the raw material, other thing, okay. So what we are saying is if labor is one of the input cost, okay, so we have seen that the supply would depend on this labor and also the price. Okay, right? So what we are saying is quantity supplied, so it should be quantity supplied can be seen as the dependent variable, which is a function of price of the good and the labor cost. Okay, so quantity supplied, okay, if let's say quantity supplied, S for supplied, and it is of X, okay, the good is X, it depends on the price of X and depends on the wage that you are giving to the labor, and there can be other factors also. So dash 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 means input, power, raw material, all those things are coming over here. So let's say we have a very simple function, quantity supplied of T is a linear function of price of T and the wage. Okay, so we are saying that it is minus 100 plus 500 into price of T minus 10 times the wage. Right? So the quantity supplied is in kg per week. So this quantity supplied is in kg per week. Price of the tea is in dollars per kg, and this wage is in dollar per hour. Right? Now think about it. When the price of tea is going to increase, what will happen? This is a positive. So if the price of tea increases by $1 per kg, if it increases by $1 per kg, you will find that the supplier will supply additional amount of 500 kg. Okay, so he will supply more 500 kg because the coefficient of the price of tea is 500. Okay, if it increases by $3 per kg, if it increases by $3 per kg, then the supplier will supply 1500 kg more. Right? Now think about what happens when the wage increases. Okay, when the wage increases, the cost of the supplier increases, so he will be less willing to supply, or the quantity supplied will be lesser. So what happens is, let's say suppose the wage increases by $1 per hour. Right? He will reduce the quantity supplied by $10. By 10 units. Okay, 10 kgs. He will supply less by 10 kg. Right? So the next question that we are talking about is, how much would be the supply of tea given this equation if the tea price is 6 per kg, okay, and the wage rate is $15 per hour. Right? So you have to put the answer over here. Okay, put the answer over here and over here for this. So we are changing the inputs. Okay, we are changing the tea price, we are changing the wages per hour. Let us see how to solve this question in our Excel sheet.